I was never meant to be the star of the story. I was just a stand-in, my brother's shadow. After he left for abroad, the first one to seek me out was Willow, the ICCO whose very presence could chill the air. She didn't waste time on small talk. She slid a contract across the table, her tone sharp and businesslike. "Sign it. I don't want to force you out of school." I signed. What else was I supposed to do? Then came Maria. She arrived in a fiery red Lamborghini, pulling up outside the small shop where I worked. She walked in like the world already belonged to her, grabbed me by the wrist, and dragged me out. Her fingers pinched my chin as her eyes searched my face. "You really do look like your brother," she said, smiling in a way that was both amused and dangerous. "That works too." And then there was Sophia. She never once used the word substitute, but I felt it in every look, every gesture. She guided me through research, helped me with papers, and more than once I caught her staring at me for too long. To everyone else, it seemed like I had conquered the cold goddess. But deep down I knew the truth. It wasn't me. It was my brother's face. Besides our appearance, my brother and I couldn't be more different. He carried himself with boldness, sharp edges, and presence that drew people in. I, on the other hand, was soft-spoken, slow in my ways. To put it kindly, I was gentle. To put it honestly, I was ordinary. So, to play his role, I tried to imitate him. His words, his confidence, his charm. But it never landed right. Willow's sneer was like a blade. "Your imitation is clumsy, boring." Maria laughed until tears blurred her makeup, calling me the low-budget version of the man she actually wanted. And Sophia, her silence hurt the most. She studied me with those flawless brows furrowed and muttered one word that sank like a stone in my chest. Disgusting. I realized then just having his face wasn't enough. Even substitutes had competition. If I didn't evolve, if I didn't upgrade myself, I'd lose the little value I had. Rumors spread that someone else was even preparing for plastic surgery to look more like him. That night, as I lay awake, an idea struck me. They didn't just want my brother's looks. They wanted him to want them. But he never cared for romance. No girlfriends, no flings, no distractions. And me? I'd been surrounded by girls since I was a kid. Making them laugh came naturally. So, maybe if I played the role the way they wished he would, I could keep them close. By the second year of being the substitute, the balance started to slip. One night, Willow called while I was at Maria's house. We were locked into a video game marathon, her eyes glued to the screen, her competitive fire unrelenting. "Where are you?" Willow's voice crackled through the phone. "At a friend's house." I answered carefully. She didn't argue. She just sent me an address. An art gallery. It was already past 10 at night. Who wanted to look at paintings at this hour? Only someone with passion. Or obsession. A notification popped up. Alipay deposit. 100,000 yuan. So that was her reason. Art, after all, always came with a price. Maria, sharp as ever, caught the shift in me. "Who called?" she asked, her eyes never leaving the screen. I lied. My dad won the lottery. I need to go home. She didn't buy it. Not fully, but she let me go. Until at the door, she stopped me with one last question. "Was it Sophia?" I froze. Sophia was the one I spent the most time with. Of course Maria would suspect her. So I leaned into the lie. The data for a project had issues. She asked me to fix it. I didn't want you to worry, so I lied. Maria smirked, half amused, half bitter. "What's there to lie about? Do you think I care?" I bowed my head, whispered an apology, and slipped away before she could answer. The truth was, when I first agreed to play her substitute, it was simple. She was dazzling. The kind of beauty that could steal your breath in a single glance. But even galaxies fade with time. 2 years of the charade, and I was already tired. What made it worse was that all three of them were clinging harder lately. At first, they kept their distance, disciplined and detached. But now, they were drawing me in more, demanding more, as if they forgot I was just a stand-in. And I, even I, the so-called master balancing time, was beginning to crack. The taxi pulled up to the gallery. I stepped out and spotted her immediately. Willow, under the dim glow of a streetlight, her business suit crisp, her posture flawless. She looked every bit the queen of her empire, yet in that moment, somehow untouchable. I forced a smile, slipped into the role, and pulled her close. Whispering into her ear, I said, "I missed you so much. Did you miss me?" She lowered her eyes, her hand lifted, fingers hovering just above my face, tracing the air around my brows, my eyes. The machine-like precision she carried in the office melted away, replaced by something softer. Her voice was quiet, almost fragile. "I missed you. A lot. But in my heart, I filled in the words she didn't say aloud. I miss your brother." That was the truth, wasn't it? Willow, the woman who commanded entire boardrooms, was, in fact, the easiest to read. I held her hand, pressing it to my face, desperate to close the distance. For a moment, she allowed it. I reached further, trying to entwine our fingers. But then, like water slipping through grasping hands, she pulled away. Everyone in her circle knew her quirks. She hated touch, especially skin to skin. It was her boundary, her fortress wall, and no one dared test it. No one except me. And even then, I knew she wasn't really afraid of touch. She was afraid of what it might make her feel. Willow was always a fortress. She covered herself from head to toe, closet stacked with gloves like armor against the world. It had taken me 2 years just to earn the smallest concession, a hug, but only through layers of fabric. And yet, I'd once seen her cradle my brother's hand barehanded, gently cleaning his wounds. That memory stung like salt on an open cut. I forced a smile, bit my lip, and stepped back. Hooking my arm through her sleeve instead, I teased softly, "Cutie, why the sudden craving for art at this hour?" As always, she didn't answer, just walked in silence, leading me through the gallery until the truth revealed itself. The walls were covered with his name. My brother's. Dozens of canvases, most unfinished, most casual, paintings he tossed off in moments of idle energy. Painting wasn't even his passion. It was something he did in spare minutes, like doodles left behind on a napkin. But here they were, hanging like treasures. Bought, I realized, by her. Willow stood before them, transfixed, as if staring into another world. Meanwhile, I stifled a yawn, exhaustion pulling at me. Who cared for all this? The only thing I saw was her longing for him. "Tell me," I murmured, half joking, half pleading, "if I painted, would you buy mine too? Would you hang them here?" Her expression didn't change. Her voice was cool, cutting. "Don't compare yourself to him." The unspoken words echoed anyway. "You don't measure up." I tried again, stubborn as always. "I'm not comparing. I just want to be treated like that. Just once. Is it really impossible?" Her eyes sharpened, irritation flashing. She tore her gaze from the painting and pinned me with the same icy stare she used in the boardroom. "If you don't want to stay, then leave." I let my eyes redden, let my voice tremble. Another act, another mask. "I'm not being unreasonable. I get out." The 2 words sliced through me, clean and merciless. And so I left, rolled right out of there, muttering under my breath about how insane it was. Who wastes midnight hours staring at unfinished canvases, mourning a man who doesn't even notice you? But then came the buzz on my phone. Alipay deposit, 100,000 yuan. I grinned. What a rich, foolish, heartbreakingly lonely CEO. God, I loved her for it. After that night, silence. Neither Willow nor Maria came looking for me, which left me blissfully free to focus on Sophia. With her, life was simpler. Clean. She drilled me in my studies with a discipline I could never find on my own. And because of her, my grades rose higher than I'd ever imagined. So, after exams, I treated her to dinner at a high-end restaurant. A small celebration, a gesture of gratitude. But fate is cruelly theatrical. Sitting just across the room was Maria, and she wasn't alone. Draped across her arm was a handsome stranger, and the 2 of them were wrapped up in each other, oblivious to the world. I didn't hesitate. I snapped photos, proof in hand. The timing was perfect. The gaming season had ended, My rank had soared, and I'd been struggling to find a graceful way to end things with her. Now, finally I had an excuse. Back at her place, I showed her the evidence. She barely glanced at it, lounging on her sofa like a queen bore of her subjects. A mocking smile tugged at her lips. "So, you can go to Sophia, but I can't go to someone else?" That's when it hit me. She didn't care. Not about me, not about what I'd seen. If she truly didn't care, why would she ever react? But before I could puzzle out, she stood, sauntered over, and looked me up and down with a strange glimmer in her eyes. "So tell me," she asked smoothly, "in what capacity are you questioning me? As my boyfriend? Do you like me? Want to be with me?" My heart jolted, but my mind was clear. Absolutely not. Maria was fire, passion, chaos. Beautiful to chase, thrilling to taste, but impossible to hold. A woman like her could only burn you alive. And yet, she had this way of twisting reality. One moment, she sang love songs like a teenage girl in heat. The next, she wrapped herself around a different man, whispering the same words. Even her obsession with my brother was half play, half performance. In public, she was flawless. In private, she was wilder than me. Still, she had a magnetism no one could deny. Men lined up behind her like moths, and most left speaking well of her. All except me, because with me, she was cruel. She said things just to cut, laughed at my every move, used me as a toy for her amusement. And yet, the way she asked, the flicker in her eyes, could it be? Did she actually want me to be hers? I stayed silent. That was my answer. Her smile faded, turning sharp, her tone as cold as winter glass. "Get down." Her gaze lingered, dark, almost dangerous, until she suddenly laughed, tossing it all away like a bad joke. "Relax. I was just asking. Did you really start considering it? A substitute like you, don't overthink." Relief washed over me. I slipped into the role again, reddening my eyes, playing my lines with tragic conviction. "When you treat me like this, do you think I don't have a heart? That I can't feel pain? Maria, I regret everything. I shouldn't have gotten involved with you. I won't be anyone's substitute again. Let's end this." And with that, I ran, bolted from her house like a man escaping a crime scene, afraid that if I lingered even a second longer, I'd burst into laughter, of saying goodbye. God, it felt good, but the thrill never lasts. Because once the curtain falls, you still have to deal with the aftermath. And Maria, she was never the kind of woman who accepted defeat. Sophia wasn't the type to waste kindness. She admired strength, not weakness. Rumor had it she once scolded her own advisor to tears. She had no patience for mediocrity, and mediocrity included me. Ordinary, average, unremarkable. And yet, for my brother's sake, she tolerated me. She praised me. She even taught me seriously, because the last thing she wanted was for me to drag down his name. I couldn't deny it. She had real ability. In 2 years, she pushed me from fumbling in the shadows to ranking first in my class, even securing guaranteed graduate admission. But sometimes when equations ended, silence fell, and I caught her staring at my face. There was nothing academic in her gaze. The heat there was raw, clashing with the cold goddess facade she showed the world. I angled myself ever so slightly, letting the light hit just right, making myself look a little more like him, and the fire in her eyes burned hotter. Then came the knock, loud, heavy, the kind of pounding that carried anger in its rhythm. I didn't need to look. I already knew it was Maria. Sophia asked who it was. Probably a neighbor. I lied. Maybe a parking dispute. When she moved to follow me to the door, I pressed her back down. I couldn't let her see. But the moment I cracked it open, Maria stormed in, her fury sharp enough to slice through the air. "Took you long enough. Who's inside? Afraid I'd see?" She shoved past me like a wolf marking territory. And just then, Sophia stepped out of the bedroom. Their eyes met. Sparks flew. Maria laughed, disbelieving, her anger only rising. My scalp tingled. I stepped back, letting Sophia shield me. "Maria," Sophia said coldly, "this is your idea of manners? breaking into someone else's home? Maria lunged, trying to drag me out, but Sophia caught her wrist, holding her ground. I'm here for my boyfriend, Maria snapped. What's it got to do with you? Sophia turned, her sharp gaze cutting right through me. Do you like her? For a moment, my instinct betrayed me. I smiled bitterly. But then I remembered I wasn't a substitute anymore. I didn't owe Maria my loyalty. So I bit my lip, shrank behind Sophia, and whispered with trembling conviction, I don't know her. She's lying. Maria's face twisted, her eyes red with fury. George, come out. Let's talk properly. But I knew she wouldn't dare expose our arrangement in front of Sophia, especially not Sophia, who secretly adored my brother, who had never once tainted her reputation by asking me outright to be his replacement. So I said firmly, there's nothing to talk about. Then, tugging Sophia's sleeve, I played the frightened boy, whispering, Sister Sophia, she's so scary. Should we call the police? Maria's face darkened, the shadows swallowing her expression. Good, good, good. Her voice cracked with rage. Her gaze snapped back to me, venom dripping from her words. Scumbag, you said I was the only one. You said you only liked me. Was that all a lie? I blinked at her, feigning confusion. Why are you angry? Don't you remember what you did when I said that? Back then, she had laughed until her sides hurt, calling my lines outdated, warning me never to use them again, especially while wearing my brother's face. Her fury faltered. Just for a moment, I puffed myself up, only to shrink back behind Sophia again. Sophia, ever composed, seemed almost pleased by my act. She squeezed my hand, reassuring, then turned to Maria, please leave. And that's when fate twisted the knife. My phone rang. Both women looked. On the screen, Willow's name. Panic rushed through me. I fumbled, trying to hang up, but my thumb hit answer. Her voice came through low and husky, tinged with congestion but unmistakable. I'm downstairs. Come out. The words were soft, but to me they roared like thunder. Two women in front of me, one waiting below. I was cornered, doomed, but not without hope. Her voice had sounded weak, tired. Maybe they wouldn't recognize it. I grabbed my bag, feigned panic. My dad's in trouble. I blurted, I need to go now. Maria stepped in front of me, suspicious. What's the rush? I shoved her lightly, frantic. Move. He needs me. Her anger melted instantly. Don't cry. I'll go with you. No, just let me go. She insisted, but I turned desperate eyes to Sophia. Her gaze lingered, cold and searching, before she finally stepped in, holding Maria back. Whether she saw Willow's name or not, I couldn't tell, but her choice gave me space. I bolted. Moments later, I collapsed into Willow's car, breathless. Willow, you finally came to see me. I'm sorry. That day I signed it. Her voice cut clean through my apology. She sat slumped against the seat, lashes heavy, shadows under her eyes, her beauty dulled by exhaustion. On the seat beside her, a contract. If I signed 2 apartments and 3 luxury cars would transfer into my name. A blank check lay on top. Fill in any amount I wanted. My voice shook. Willow, what is this? Her eyes lifted, distant, cold. Luis is coming back next month. It's time to settle accounts. I nearly cried then, not out of sadness, but out of sheer, giddy disbelief. I wasn't used to things turning in my favor. Maybe because my life had always felt like the opposite. When I was young, I was kidnapped by traffickers. I didn't return to the Wong family until I was 16. By then, I was already the outsider. Not as sharp, not as brilliant, not as perfect as my brother. I tried, though. God, I tried. Studied my way into the top university in the country. But to them, it wasn't enough. I'd chosen the wrong major. I was a disappointment. Meanwhile, my brother? He barely tried. Guaranteed admission. Top score in the country. Excellence dripping off him like it was second nature. No matter where I turned. He was better, smarter, brighter. The only place I ever beat him was love. But even then, it came at a cost. Because the night I overheard my family's plan, marrying me off to a woman 10 years older, someone I'd never even met, all for a business alliance. I panicked, and I ran. They called me back at first, telling me to come home. I refused, again and again, and eventually they stopped asking. My brother had always been kind. When he discovered what our parents had planned for me, he fought with them until his voice went hoarse, and then he came to see me in my small rented apartment. He handed me a bank card, quietly saying there was money inside. But I never touched it, because in my world, nothing comes without strings. Something given always meant something owed. Still, I wanted money. I wanted a home, not a mansion, not something grand, just a modest house, a place big enough to hold me and small enough to make me feel safe, a place where I could shut the door at night, curl up after work, and sleep without worrying about being thrown out. I thought it would take me years to reach that dream. I never imagined Willow would be the one to change everything. Tears stung my eyes as I looked at her, my voice trembling. Really, it's all over? She didn't answer. Maybe she was too tired. Maybe she simply didn't want to look at me. Either way, the silence said enough. And there it was, the contract. 2 apartments downtown, 3 luxury cars, a blank check waiting for my hand. It was too much, too tempting. I couldn't resist. I signed immediately, signed as if I'd been waiting for this moment all along. But the moment my pen lifted, I knew something was wrong. Nobody gives away that much without a price. Holding the contract so tightly the paper wrinkled, I forced a smile. After this, will we still be friends? Willow finally spoke. Not friends. So that was it. Strangers. Just like that. Classic Willow. Cold, decisive, cutting ties with one clean stroke. I forced a bitter laugh, nodded, and whispered, "All right, I understand. I wish you happiness." She didn't reply. Maybe the illness had left her drained. Or maybe she really didn't care anymore. Either way, she had no reason to waste words on someone who had become nothing more than a stranger. I opened the car door and walked a few steps into night. But then I stopped. Something in me wanted to look back one last time. And when I did, the memory came rushing back. That first day, she had clenched a cigarette between her teeth, using smoke and steel to force me into being my brother's substitute. And tonight, at the very end, she was still there with a cigarette, choking as if she hadn't expected me to really leave. I leaned back in, gently plucking the cigarette from her hand. I stubbed it out halfway and slipped the rest into my pocket. "Smoke less," I told her softly. "It stinks. My brother doesn't like it." Her voice wavered unexpectedly. "And what about you?" I chuckled. "Doesn't matter. Does it, President Lou?" For the first time, her face fell. The word wilted came to mind, a word I had never imagined could describe her. The sorrow on her face was sudden, almost unexplainable. The old me would have obsessed over what it meant. But not anymore. We were strangers now. And strangers don't owe each other explanations. I never went back home. Maria nearly exploded my phone with calls. Even after I blocked her, she kept finding new numbers. Eventually, I had no choice but to change my SIM card just to get some peace. With Sophia, I kept my words measured careful. The closeness we had built over 2 years, I pushed it all away myself. She asked if I needed help. I said no. She asked how I knew Willow. I told her it was none of her business. After that, she stopped asking. I began preparing to go abroad. Our university had a study abroad program, and before, I had painfully given up that chance to save money for a house. But now the house was secured, and I finally had enough. I gathered all my documents, applied, and passed a review with ease. The day of my departure came. Coincidentally, it was also the day my brother returned to the country. His flight landed in the morning. Mine would take off in the afternoon. I didn't have time to see him face to face. Instead, I stuck to my plan and asked a friend to return the bank card he had once given me. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. Not a soul. But right before boarding, my phone buzzed with a flood of messages. "That day you went downstairs. Was it to see Willow?" "George, where are you? How dare you two-time us? You're dead. It was obviously Maria. I frowned, confused, and replied, "What do you mean two timing? It's not like we were seriously together. Why be so mad?" Almost instantly, she called. I hung up. She called again. I threatened, "Call again and I'll block you." Her messages kept coming. "What's your relationship with Sophia and Willow?" "None." "None? Then why did Willow say you're hers?" That stopped me cold. I wasn't surprised they found out. I had been substituting for all three of them. After all, my brother had just returned, and as always, people flocked to him. Of course, Sophia, Maria, and Willow were the closest. If the three of them ended up in the same room, something was bound to slip. What did surprise me was Willow's words. We had already settled things. So, why would she still claim me as hers? I typed back, "Go ask Willow." Her next reply came fast. "Where are you?" "I'll come find you." I blocked her. Then Sophia's chat lit up for the first time in ages. "I'm very disappointed. Why didn't you tell me about you and Willow and Maria?" She had helped me a lot, so I replied patiently, "Because you're just like them. You only like seeing me wear this face, doing things my brother would never do, and feeling close to him." Her next message cut deep. "Since you knew, why did you still approach me?" I typed out the truth. "Because there weren't many people who treated me well. You were one of them." But stare at the words. I realized how melodramatic it sounded, even pathetic. So I deleted it and instead wrote, "We both just got what we wanted." She never replied again. From Willow, there was only silence. But a senior I knew who worked at her company suddenly called. "George, where are you? The company is hiring. The benefits are amazing. Want me to put your name forward?" Her company was famous for being impossible to get into. Even with referrals, I would have never stood a chance. Which meant this wasn't real. It was her. I politely declined, but the senior kept pressing. Finally, I had to cut him off. "Senior, the plane's about to take off. I'll talk to you after I land." He paused, confused. "Where are you going? Found a job already? Out of province?" That was the moment I knew I had finally stepped out of their world. Chapter 10, leaving home, was supposed to feel like crossing borders, but in a world already so connected, it was more like stepping into another province. I imagined a wild, extravagant life abroad, late nights, bright lights, and adventure. What I got instead was exhaustion, days buried in books until my eyes went dark. I tried dating. Twice. But the morning after I confessed my feelings, both of them broke up with me on the spot. Their eyes full of something I couldn't understand. Later, I learned the ridiculous truth. A rumor that I was the heir to some shadowy East Asian family, and anyone who dated me would be tossed to the sharks the next day. Insane. Yet everyone believed it, without question. It was the first time I truly felt defeated. But pain has a way of becoming fuel. With nothing left to lose, I poured myself into studying and started winning awards that actually mattered. One project brought me back home, and after thinking it through, I joined. A year had passed. My brother had been in the country the whole time, and if they were still furious at me, surely they'd burned through that fire by now. They had bigger prey him. Me? I was only ever the substitute, and substitutes aren't worth the chase. So the night I landed, I walked straight into a bar, planning nothing more than a drink and maybe some easy company. My glass had barely touched the counter when I heard it. That voice. Low, sharp, far too familiar. George. Long time no see. Maria. She leaned close, one hand on the bar, her body curling around mine like a shadow. A plunging knit dress clung to her curves, her wrist inked with a new tattoo that seemed to whisper danger. I didn't flinch, just signaled the bartender to bring her a drink and lifted my glass with a smile. Here for fun, too? Her answer was a hand on my neck, teeth clenched. Fun? Don't play with me. Come home. I still have scores to settle. I brush her hand away, impatient. Settle scores? Between us, there's nothing left to settle. I said everything that needed saying. You just couldn't accept it. Before she could reply, I leaned in with a smile that cut sharper than glass. And even if we rewound 100 steps, you don't actually think I was pathetic enough to fall for you, do you? It was just a game. Nothing more. Her fists trembled, eyes rimmed with red. Still, she forced the words out. Don't say that, George. It was my fault. I crushed your feelings. Just give me one chance. I laughed, low and merciless, leaning close to her ear. You have no chance. Not now. Not ever. In those 2 years, Maria, I never once had feeling for you. Chapter 11 people are strange, aren't they? When I was a substitute, I gave them everything, time, effort, sincerity. I studied their moods, met their needs, tried to be what they wanted, and they dismissed me like I was nothing. But the moment I stopped caring, the moment I showed them the same coldness they'd show me, they came crawling back. The same people who once looked down on me now clung like moths to a flame. That project brought Sophia back into my orbit. She was different now. Polished, sharper, no glasses, her beauty sharper than before. I remember the old days, when professors dragged us to banquets and she, too proud, too aloof, was forced to drink. She couldn't hold her liquor. I'd step in every time, draining glass after glass until I could barely stay upright. Just so she didn't have to. But after I left, I cut ties. And clearly, she adapted. Because now, she was downing drink after drink like it was nothing. A perfect smile, effortless grace. She didn't need me anymore. After the deals were done and the bosses stumbled off, it was just the two of us. I stood to leave, but her hand caught my arm. Instinctively, I shook her off. She looked pale, lips pressed tight, one hand clutching her stomach. And then she crumpled, collapsing into my chest. George, her voice trembled, muffled against me. My stomach hurts. Her arms locked around my waist like iron, refusing to let go. I tried pushing her off, twice, but she clung tighter. I sighed, annoyed. Take medicine, Professor Sophia. And please, respect yourself. She let out the faintest laugh. Can I take that as concern? I snapped. Sophia, when did your skin get so thick? Let go. She didn't move. Her face was pale, her voice weaker. That's not what I meant. I leaned down, lips near her ear, my tone flat. When my brother doesn't let you hug him, you stand aside. But when I don't let you, suddenly you're deaf. No wonder you're a professor. You know how to play people. I've learned a lot. Her arms faltered, then loosened. She looked away, embarrassed, sweat shining at her temple. That's not it, she whispered. I only see you as a friend. I laughed. Cold. A friend? Would you crush yourself against a friend's chest like this? Her lips trembled. What about before? I cut her off with a scoff. Before? You never said I was just a substitute. But you thought it. I could see it in your eyes. Willow was money. Maria was beauty and games. And you? I let the silence hang. She flinched as if the weight of it burned. For the first time, the untouchable Sophia looked shaken, disheveled. George, stop. Her voice cut through me, sharp but trembling. You were the last one to approach me. At the time, I made a bet with a friend. If I could conquer you, he'd buy me dinner for a month. Sophia's hand pressed harder against her stomach. Her lips trembled, pale as paper, but she forced herself to keep talking. Then, with a breath that came out soft as silk, she whispered, I understand. Her body bent, trembling as if her strength had finally run out. Those icy, flawless eyes, always so distant, now shimmered with something fragile. A plea, as though she was begging me not to leave. Afraid she might collapse completely, I called someone in from outside to stay with her. And then I turned and walked away. There had never been any bet. I invented it, just to push her away. Because the truth was ugly. Be it with Sophia had nothing to do with her legend on campus or the shine she gave me by her side. Back then, my heart was twisted. If I could be a substitute once, why not twice? Why not as many times as it took? It cost me nothing, and it gave me the illusion of affection. But sometimes, beneath all that scheming, I wanted something simpler. To be liked, for no reason at all. That stubbornness, that childishness, led me exactly here. And sometimes I regretted it. If I had chosen Willow alone, maybe things would have been different. She had drawn the line between me and my brother, and after the settlement, she never crossed it again. She even gave me a chance to rebuild myself. The money she left me was enough to patch the holes she'd torn through me. By the end, Willow had been kind, maybe even good. At least, that's what I thought, until I walked out of the restaurant and saw the sleek car waiting at the curb. The window rolled down, revealing her elegant, untouchable CEO face. Her assistant stepped out, all smiles. "Mr. Wong," he said warmly, "President Liu has been waiting for you." When I saw the contract in Willow's hands, I couldn't help but laugh. Of course. This woman, this domineering CEO, she couldn't breathe without paperwork. Everything had to be signed, sealed, bound by clauses. I teased her. "And what if I don't sign?" She looked thinner, almost hollow, like a beautiful stone statue chipped by time. "I don't have anything to threaten you with," she admitted quietly. "You've grown up. You're not a child anymore. You have your own career. That day, I shouldn't have let you go." I sat upright, eyebrows raised. "So, President Liu, are you telling me you regret it?" "Mm." Her voice was weary, like the word itself cost her something. I couldn't understand her anymore. Maria had sought me out because she couldn't let go. Sophia probably missed a version of me who cared for her. But Willow? Why, even the crumbs that slipped through her hands were enough to change the life of an ordinary man like me. Enough to set me free forever. What more could she want? Confused, I asked bluntly, "So what exactly does President Liu mean?" "My brother's already back in the country. Are you still looking for a substitute?" "Not a substitute. A lover." She shook her head. "An assistant? A secretary?" "No." Her eyes held mine, unwavering. I scoffed. "A bed partner? Please." You get nauseous holding hands. Silence. Finally, I gave up. Why keep me guessing? I can't figure it out. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Can't guess or don't dare to?" "Don't want to." I snapped, reaching for the door handle. "It's late. If I don't know what you mean, then I'll be going. Goodbye, President Liu." But the way she watched me, the calm, calculating look in her eyes, it felt like a storm building. And sure enough, that night, I walked into a bar only to be politely escorted out. The owner himself came to apologize. "I'm sorry. This is Miss Liu's place." I thought it was a joke. Tried another bar. Same thing. And another. Same story. Either she owned them or her friends did. Damn these rich people. I stormed into the night, milk tea in hand, sulking with friend. That's when my friend leaned close, whispering, "A car's been following us." I turned, and there she was again. Willow. Relentless. I sent my friend home and marched straight to her car, pounding on the window. "What do you want, Willow? Don't you like my brother?" Her voice was steady. "The one I like is you." I froze. "What?" "I'm pursuing you." I stared at her, stunned. "Are you insane? Can't you just stay away from me? Didn't we settle everything?" Her eyes flickered. We settled the wrong part. The car door opened. She stepped out, stiletto heels clicking against the pavement. Her height just enough to meet my gaze. But her presence, her stare, it towered over me. My legs felt weak. She reached up, fingers brushing the strands of hair blown across my forehead. Her touch grazed my earlobe before I jerked away. She only smiled soft, unbothered. "You look like you want to hit me," she murmured. I glared. She leaned in closer, her voice low, almost reverent. "Go ahead. Hit me." I was speechless. What the hell was she doing? A year ago, she was cold, untouchable, flawless. Now she looked like a lunatic. But God help me, the offer was tempting. I remembered all the times I'd suffered because of her obsession with cleanliness. And now, here she was practically daring me. My hand itched. Against my better judgment, I reached out, brushing her face. She didn't flinch. She leaned in. "Continue." I froze. This couldn't be real. I grabbed her hand, pinching her cheek, the forbidden zone, the place that once set her off in fury if I so much as brushed against it. And now, Nothing. I could touch her however I pleased. She looked at me steadily, her voice soft, unwavering. I like you. When you touch me, I'm happy. Before I was too cowardly, too weak. I hurt you. I'm sorry. She guided my hand against her skin, pressing it there gently, deliberately. Today was just to get your attention. From now on, I won't restrict your freedom. I don't expect your forgiveness. I only hope you'll let me. I felt her eyes on me, watching from a distance. My scalp prickled. I was about to speak when the stranger nearby, the one I'd ignored, idly tapping at a phone beneath a motorcycle helmet, pulled it off, and there she was. Maria. No wonder. President Lou, she said, her voice honeyed yet sharp. You almost had me crying with those words. For a second, I nearly believed you weren't the one who threatened George's girlfriend overseas into breaking up with him. Willow's face didn't flinch. She simply replied, It wasn't me. Maria stepped closer, lowering her voice into my ear, the whisper laced with venom. Don't believe her. Business people, heartless, every one of them. They say one thing, but who knows what they truly do? Willow's eyes narrowed, the danger in her gaze unmistakable. Just the other day, I had tea with your father. He was worried about your careless lifestyle. Asked me to keep an eye on you. From the looks of it, Miss Maria, you've made no progress. Instead, you're dragging my name through the mud. She paused, her voice cool as glass. Perhaps I'll have to speak with your father again. Maria's lips twisted into a sneer. Old lady Lou, so you do remember you're in the same generation as my dad. Where'd you get the nerve confess to George, then? She turned her venom on me, her words cutting deep. George, think about it. A woman like her, already in her 30s, drowning in work and endless obligations. Her prime won't last. Soon, she'll be nothing but a withered flower. Unlike me, I've got money, free time, I keep fit. My body's perfect. Don't believe me? Feel for yourself. I recoiled instantly. No thanks. Willow leaned back against the car, a cigarette dangling between her fingers but never lit. Her tone was cold, deliberate. Miss Maria, youth doesn't last forever. Have you considered the long term? Your father arranged an excellent match for you. Your mother is pleased. She wants you settled quickly. But they'd never accept a son-in-law beneath their family status. And you, her eyes cut into me, you waste your days idly if they decide to move against George. What strength do you have to protect him? Maria's face darkened, her pride pricked. That's none of your business. The two women fired blow after blow. Each were a strike to the other's weak spots. I stood by silently, eating the drama like popcorn. But the truth? That so-called blind date my family once forced on me years ago, the one 10 years older? That had been Willow. I'd run. My brother, under my parents' pressure, had stepped into my place. He and Willow spent some time together before she broke it off, citing incompatible personalities. When he left the country, my parents still clung to the idea of a marriage alliance. They tried to drag me back, force me to give in, but Willow stopped them. To shut it down once and for all, she signed a contract with me. Until my brother returned, we would pretend to be lovers. If either of us started seeing someone else, or the moment my brother came back, it would all end. I only half believed her. The way she sometimes looked at me, like she was seeing someone else in my face. That couldn't be fake. I always suspected her heart had once leaned toward my brother. When he rejected her, she'd gone with the flow, using me as both a shield and a bridge to his gratitude. Maria's story was simpler. She didn't excuse her past as a sea queen. Instead, she tried to wash it clean, swearing that during the year I was abroad, she'd been chaste, painting herself as a reformed wild girl. But what did any of that matter to me? The longer I listened, the more twisted it felt, until finally I couldn't hold back. What's the point of any of this? Both women turned to me. I met their stares. Even if I were to date, it wouldn't be with either of you. Maria's voice cracked. Why? Because it's disgusting. Their faces shifted. I raised a hand, my tone sharp but steady. I don't mean to blame you. Back then, I was young and foolish. But I never loved you. Not once. Every kindness I showed, every affection I pretended, it was all fake. If there had been profit in it, I'd have done the same for a dog. That's what disgusts me. When my girlfriend looks at me, I can't stand her seeing someone else's face in mine. Not for even a second. And I've seen the ugliest sides of you both. I'm not like you. I can't erase the past with a few pretty words. I don't forget. Willow crushed her cigarette into ash. Maria lowered her head, her face unreadable. Then she asked hoarsely, "So, there's really no chance? None at all?" "None." Maria's eyes reddened. Her voice shook. "If I had met you before, Luis, would you have?" I cut her off. "Don't trap me with what-ifs. Even if you had the answer, nothing changes. The present doesn't change." "George." I checked the time and gave them both a polite, tired smile. "I think I've made myself clear. Let's end it here. From now on, we're just ordinary friends. And if we can't even be friends, strangers will do. Honestly, I prefer that. What I hate most is a woman clinging on after I've already said no." The car I ordered pulled up. I refused their offer to drive me home. Alone, I slipped into back seat. As the city light streaked past a window, I whispered to myself, I was firm this time. They'll leave me be. I held my breath until the project ended. And, true enough, I never saw them again. Sophia, when she appeared, was strictly professional. Cool, distant, unreadable. At last, I exhaled. The 3-year farce was over. And that was that. Quiet, ordinary life. That was a real thing. When the project ended, I went abroad again to study. My landlord had issues to deal with, so I had to move into a new flat. Big place, 2 units per floor. A month later, new tenants began trickling in. Living abroad teaches you caution. I kept to myself. No need to get tangled with neighbors. Until one day in the elevator, I froze. Maria, Willow, Sophia. Maria lit up first. "Hello, I'm your new neighbor. My name is Jessica. If you ever have trouble, come find me." Sophia was calm, collected. "Long time no see, George. Do you remember me? I'm Luna." Luna was the name of a senior I barely knew. And Willow? She just gave me a small nod, cool and detached. Freya. Jessica. Luna. Freya. Maria. Sophia. Willow. I didn't say a word. I just pressed the button and shut the doors. Unbelievable. I told them I wouldn't date them. So now they were pretending to be someone else. Before, I thought my unease was paranoia. But no, these women hadn't given up. They were back, stronger than ever. This ridiculous, chaotic farce was far from over.